Hi class, this is your teacher, Mrs. Schwans. So I thought I would make this video to help you add and subtract fractions better, although right now I'm just focusing on adding fractions. Sorry, I'm not adding integers, which are negative and positive numbers. And I meant integers. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to focus on an old way of thinking and try to kind of get rid of that old way of thinking and introduce a new idea so that maybe this new idea is going to help you complete the problems that you need to complete. And so sometimes sometimes I think we have a really hard time accepting new information when we're holding on to like the old concepts so tightly, then like it's hard for us to relearn and to learn how to do something correctly when we've been maybe doing something and thinking about something in a certain way for so long. So I think that is the problem that a lot of students run into when they're adding integers, is if they have a hard time getting rid of those old ideas. So let me help you. So the old idea that I'm talking about is when we learned subtraction, when we were in elementary school, is they told us, oh, look, you have 3 little duckies, right? And you know, one of them gets sold and you lose one of them. So bye-bye, little ducky, right? And then now, so I did have 3 originally, 1 we sold and now, or is gone. So now we have 2, right? Okay, so that's the vision that we all have of subtraction. So what I'm saying is we need to kind of, when we get into all of a sudden adding and subtracting operations, we need to get rid of that like idea of subtraction. We need a new picture that will help us better understand really what's going on with subtraction and addition. Okay, so let me, this is a new idea. Okay, so the new thing that we need to accept is that subtraction really just means the opposite of addition. So let me write that out for you. And so we can see from kind of this picture that if we say, you know, here's sea level, and then there's like under the sea, and there's like above sea, right? So if we say, hey, above sea is going to be positive, moving up, that is going to, we're going to call that positive, then, and moving down below sea level is the opposite of moving up, it's moving the opposite direction, it's moving down, then we would call down, you know, moving down is negative and moving up is positive. And something also really important to recognize is that if I move down 5 spaces, so like I'm at a -5, and then if I went in the down direction 5 spaces, and if I go 5 spaces back up, adding a +5, then I'm going to get 0, because every negative and every one positive cancels itself because they're opposites. Some of you may think of like debt and earning money. So if you have a debt of $5 and you earn $5, then it cancels out and makes you have no money. Okay. So one thing that really helps to understand this is to do a bunch of exercises like this, like 5 plus a -4. And we're just gonna, what I'm gonna do right now is I'm just gonna think that we're just adding. We're taking positive numbers and adding negative numbers. And and I'll talk about actual subtraction later, actually when we're subtracting integers. Right now I'm just focused on adding integers. So like 5 plus a -4. So then what you want to do is you want to draw a little picture, 5 plus signs and 4 negative signs. And you recognize that a negative and positive cancel each other out. So those cancel each other out, those cancel each other out, those cancel each other out, and those cancel each other out. So what we're left with is 1 positive. And so the answer here is +1. Okay. So what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to pause to do several problems like that. Make more space for me to do more problems. So let's, say -3 plus +2 equals, so, and then you would do, because it's 3 negatives, so it'd be 1, 2, 3, and 2 positives. So each negative and positive cancels, and then you get 1 negative. So it's -1. That's the answer. Okay. And so I would continue to keep doing this. Like, I do small numbers so you don't have to write a lot of positive signs, but actually write out the every diet picture to go with it. Okay. What I'd like you to do is to do these 6 problems, get a piece of paper and then write out, there's 4, so write out 4 negatives and then write out, there's 2 positives. So write 2 positive signs and then circle each pair of negative and positive and cancel it out. And then write the answers in. So I'll give you a little bit of time to do that. So pause this recording and then do this. And I'm hoping that this will help you solidify this concept. So here are the answers that you should have gotten. And the pictures that you should have drawn. Okay, those are the answers that you should have gotten. And so now you need to kind of think kind of deeply and kind of ask yourself, okay, well, I don't want to have to, draw these pictures every single time I run into a problem like this. So what's really happening? How can I quickly get to the answer without drawing the picture? So I'll let you think about what it is that's really going on here to get these answers. So like we had +3, -2, and then we got an answer of +1, you know, and look at all of it. This one was 0. I didn't write the answer there. Look at the answers and try, you know, and look at the process that you wrote down and try to figure out, and if you need to do more examples, like do like, you know, 5 plus -3 and keep going to kind of figure out what's going on here. And really, I mean, if you were to explain to somebody else, like, and you didn't want them to have to draw the pictures, how would you explain to them how to add integers? Just going to allow you just a few more minutes to think about it and to look at the pictures. Okay, so you should be kind of thinking, well, the answer is whichever you had more of, right? If you had more negatives, like in this problem, -3 + 2, if you have more negatives, the answer is going to be negative. You guys notice that? So like we had a +5, -4, and the positives were more. So we had a positive answer. And then the same thing here, like a -4 and +2. And if I'm just looking at them, I'm not thinking about -2 and -4 really, and 2. I'm looking at the absolute value of 4, meaning that like, no, not thinking about the negative sign. Just I'm looking at 4 and 2, which one's larger? Okay, 4 is larger and it has a negative sign on it. So then therefore the negative is going to be the answer. Okay, and then so I'm looking at 3 and 1. 3 is larger than 1, but it has a negative sign on it. So the negatives are going to be the answer. The answer is going to be negative. Okay, so first of all, we notice that and if there's the same amount of negatives and the same amount of positives, then the answer is 0, right? And then hopefully you understand something even more is that not only, okay, the answer is the same as whatever number was, whatever we had more of, positives and negatives, but then not only that, but it was exactly how many more. So when we have 5 and -4, we're adding together, the question we're really need to ask ourselves is how many more positives do I have than negatives? So what we really end up doing is we don't look at negative or positive, and we just take the larger number in absolute value, so 5, and we subtract the smaller number, and I'm ignoring the negatives and positives, right? And then I get an answer, and then I keep the sign of the larger number. So I say, okay, take the larger number, subtract the smaller number, and then I keep the sign of the larger number. So I did 4 minus 5. Remember, I'm not thinking -4 here. I'm just looking at the absolute value. So I'm just ignoring the negative and positive. The only reason why the negative and positive are there are because like there's the red team and blue team kind of idea. Okay, and I want to know how many more people do we have on the blue team than on the red team? Okay, so that's kind of what I'm thinking about when I think of negative and positive. At this second, I'm not thinking about the -4 location on the red or whatever, you know. So we have more on our positive team here, so therefore we have +1 answer. Okay. So that's that idea that we need to hold on to. We need to hold on to these pictures when we are adding integers. Okay, so that's adding integers. And so I'm going to do a second video all based on subtracting integers, and it's going to be not too bad. It's not going to be very bad at all. So see me with that well, actually, never mind. I'm just going to finish it off in this video because I feel like this is just one step more. So remember, let's think of a problem like this. So I'm taking 4 and I'm subtracting a -5. But I told you earlier that subtraction really is the opposite. It's really saying make it opposite. So if we were going up, when addition meant going up, then subtraction means going down, right? It means do the opposite. So if I have a situation that says 4 opposite and opposite +5, opposite, opposite. Well, the first opposite said turn around and go down. The second opposite says turn around, back around and go back up. So it makes sense to me if I do opposite of the opposite, I'm back to positive, right? I hope that makes a lot of sense to you guys. So that's why this becomes just a 4 + 5. When we have a traffic jam of negatives like this, then it becomes 4 + 5. And sometimes this might be a little helpful for you is I had one teacher teach, if you have this only works between the two integers, okay? If you're thinking about, you have the integers, the 4 and the 5, like little lines there, then in between the integers, you must draw 2 lines that create either negative or positive signs. So the 2 lines that I'm gonna write are here, and it makes 4 + 5, 4 plus a +5, which is just 4 + 5. So the answer here is 9. Okay. Here's the other situation where you might have 4 minus a +5. So we had 4 minus a -5. You could have 4 minus a +5. And in this situation, what you could also think of is well, subtracting is really just adding the opposite. Like I said, subtraction is just doing the opposite. So it's just adding a -5. I'm going to get the same answer as if I take 4 minus 5 or say if I say 4 subtract 5, the same answer as if I do 4 plus a -5. Okay, and the way that we remember that is the same 2-stick rule that we used over here. We can use again. I have to draw 2 sticks between the integers. Here I have 1 stick to make the negative sign a positive, and I have 1 extra stick to what can I do with that? I only have enough sticks to make a negative sign. So 4 subtracted by 5 is the same as 4 plus -5. And so then you would do this one exactly like you did the addition above. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, so that is adding integers and subtracting integers. That's all you need to know. That takes care of every problem. One other thing that I think I've seen students kind of make mistakes on is if you have like a -5 minus like -6 or something like that. Okay, here they think, oh well, what I've seen. Let me hold on a second. Let's do this problem. I want to me negatives there. It's -5 minus 6. I've seen students, they make the mistake and they think, oh, well, I use my 2-stick rule and I go right here and make these both positive. And that's absolutely not correct because you had to do your 2-stick rule, but it has to be between the integers, and you're not doing it between the integers when you do it that way, okay? So that would be wrong. The correct way to do this one is to add a stick here and add a stick here, and the answer is -5 plus -6, which if we draw the picture, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is -6, -11. So here, none of the negatives cancel out like we see when we have negatives and positives, and they all just bundle up to be a lot of negatives. Okay. All right. Well, like I said, this seems so foreign because you're really holding on to this concept of little duckies and 3 of them, and 1 of them went away, and that breaking that is a hard thing to do. And saying something like, well, when I subtract 5, it's like the same as adding a -5. That is a hard thing in our mind to accept. But just keep the concept that every 1 negative cancels out 1 positive, and that subtraction is really just the opposite of addition. That I think those concepts really help you will understand adding integers. So, all right, I have a great day. Bye.